I do have a couple of projects to do. I have to put a winter blade on my big tractor, and I have to rig up a alternator generator, sorry, starter generator on my little tractor. But while I got the space in here, I'll do that. All right, so here's the plow I bought. The door grabbed a bungee cord that was hanging beside it. Scared me. One, two. Okay, we're out. All right, it's not a lot of fun, but it's out. And now I can repaint it over the winter time, make it perfect for when it goes back in the spring. But that deck is in excellent condition. Very nice. It's kind of cool. It's driven by a drive shaft. Okay, let's just take the last couple of minutes of this GoPro's battery here and document how all these brackets go so that I can put them back in the spring when I put this back on. Okay. All right, the first thing you're gonna notice, if I start showing you the plow and stuff right off the bat, you're gonna notice these old crappy rims and tires that I put on this beautiful restored vintage tractor. But this is my winter set, okay? So the summer set is back in the shed back there with the chrome hubcaps that need to be cleaned up. And that's just where they're gonna stay for now. And that's probably where they're gonna stay until the day I sell this tractor, if I ever do. And then all the nice stuff will go back on. But I was able to find a set of tire chains on Marketplace for, he said 22-inch tires, but they fit the 23-inch tires. In fact, maybe just a little loose actually, but I think that's gonna be just fine. And the tires I got were on that junk lawnmower I picked up a couple weeks ago. May have seen that in my previous video, my introductory video. So front and rear tires came off that junk mower. These ones have tread on them, so gonna be way better on snow, I'm sure, than those golf cart tires that were on it originally. All right, so here's the deal. I start looking for a plow. I finally get it in my head, look, I'm gonna have to plow snow with this thing. That's just what it's gonna do. So I started looking on Marketplace for all the different plows, and I find one for like 80 bucks. And it's just, you know, a basic plow. Yeah, it'll swivel, but there's no parts with it, nothing that you can adjust it from the seat. You're gonna have to get on and off all the time. I'm way too old to be getting on and off anything. So I kept looking, and then this one caught my eye. So let's take a look at what I got. Now, you'll see, first of all, it said John Deere snowplow. So I think, well, that's not gonna work. I can't have a John Deere or anything on my MTD, right? But it turns out I can, because this is really just, it says made for John Deere, okay? Yeah, manufactured for John Deere, 46-inch snow blade. And I'll take a better picture of the serial number so you know what I'm getting here. But what really intrigued me was it has a full frame that goes under the tractor. And this is just pictures on Marketplace, so I can't really, you know, I don't know if all this is going to work on this. But so what I saw on this blade, or this blade setup, that kind of intrigued me was the rear connection point. All right, I thought for sure I would have to connect it to the tractor with bolts on the side of the tunnel, one on each side, like my old tractor. But this one comes with a trailer hitch mount. Okay, so, and then, well, you know, most people, they wouldn't want that because they got a ball in their hitch, right? Well, this one came with a 3-point hitch, so I could just put a ball right on that, so that solves that problem. So now I can use that as a mounting point for the blade. So that's great, but what's gonna happen How do you keep it from twisting one side or the other? I didn't know. I saw this. This was attached to it. And I thought, well, this must attach to the linkage for the John Deere tractor for the moor deck. And that's what raises and lowers it. I would suspect hydrostatically, because like way back here, lifting this thing with the plow way out front there, I would think would be pretty hard to do with that hand lever up there. So I'm going to use this in a minute. I'll show you what I'm going to do. So you get this pinned to the back, and then the plow itself inserts itself in between these, and then you can bolt it on, and it's adjustable. So I've got it so that it sits really tight to the front of the tractor with, you know, so that when the blade's swiveled or tilted, it's not hitting the tires, it still clears the tires. But then I was like, okay, so what's going to keep this thing from sliding back and forth? Well, this. So this came with it, and you attach that to the front of your tractor there and let this hang down. All right, now this tongue, we'll call it, fits inside that, and it can still run up and down inside this, but it can't run side to side. This locks it in place side to side. So there we go. And I discovered I am going to be able to attach this fairly easily. You can just set it in like that, and then I'll bolt it in, and then the plow tongue slides through there. Okay, and then if this thing hits the ground for some reason, it's, you know, it's only got about 3 inches there. If it hits something on the ground, it'll just swivel one way or the other. And if the blade's all the way up, it's got enough travel to sort itself out. So there. Now, it did come with a bunch of bars and this and that for lifting it and stuff, but I don't want to lift it with the bars. I want to lift it with the deck bar that's already on the tractor, okay? I want to lift it up and down with that. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to attach it way up here on the frame, which will be basically right in line with the deck bar, so that when I raise and lower the handle on their side, this goes up and down. And I'll have chains, a length of chain, not very long, but I want to use chains as opposed to mount it solid, because I want the blade to float, right? I want it to sit on its own weight. So chains it is. All right, maybe enough babble. Let's just start doing this thing. All right, where's my hardware? Okay, so there it is, all bolted together. I can slide that in as one piece under the tractor, but while it's out, I'm going to drill some holes for that bracket there on both sides. That's the way it's supposed to go. All right, that's a drill. It looks like it's about from World War I, but it's a high torque, awesome piece of equipment. I might have to sharpen this bit on my grinding stone. Remember that time when you learned how to sharpen a drill bit by hand on a fine stone grinder? Well, let's try it. Most people just get a drill bit sharpener, but apparently I'm not most people. Come on. Come on. Much better. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't realize there's structure under there. So here's my problem. I drilled them perfect. Excellent spot for them to put that bracket on. But I'll swing the camera upside down here. But look what's underneath. There's some kind of reinforcement right there, right in my way. So I drilled right into that, and I was kind of wondering why can't I see through those holes down into the concrete there, and it's because it's inside of a structural box. So I'm gonna get a bigger bolt now for these holes. I'm gonna use them. I'm gonna tap them out. There's enough metal there to get enough threads on there, I think, between these two units that it'll hold it in place. There it goes. Okay, let's snug it up. I'm happy with that. All right, I have the frame disconnected from the plow now. I can slide that piece on the front. And before I do that though, I gotta work out a mounting system for it. So let's do that now. All right, a little bit of measuring to do. All right, real quick before this camera dies, I just grabbed a piece of cardboard and traced out this tab. So now I have a template to mark on these angle iron pieces of the bracket that I can now drill through. Okay, while my GoPro charges there, I'll just use my iPhone for a second to update you. You'll see I've got that bracket on the front now. It looks pretty clean. Looks like it's supposed to be there. It's not too bad. You'll see I've got it bolted on in here, and then there is gaps, so I've got it double nutted, so a nut on this side of the plate and also on the other side, tightened together, and that's good and stiff. Remember, this isn't holding the plow. All this is a guide, so it doesn't wander side to side. And this swivels so that if it does hit the ground, hit a rock or something, it'll just kick up. So there you go. Let's slide this thing together and see how she goes. All right. Okay, so you'll see it's now guided at the front. So if I wiggle it back and forth, it can't go anywhere. It can still go up and down. Oops. Hopefully enough. I guess we'll find out. You know, no sense measuring stuff, right? Just start drilling and bolting and hacking away and see. So I have a thing on this blade. I'll show you in a second here. All right, everything looks great, eh? I've got the blade in, it sits inside this hoop, so it can't rock back and forth. Well, it can rock, but it can't slide back and forth. And it just sits in up and down the spine. Problem is, as low as it can go, is not low enough. The blade is nowhere near touching the ground, like 3 fingers. So that didn't work out so well. So I got some options. Let's see. I mean, I can lower. I don't want to lower that mount. I mean, I might have to. But then my thought was, well, I can cut a channel in the beam of the blade and then reinforce it on top with the welder, another piece of metal. Well, that's going to look gross, and maybe it'll interfere with the height that it needs to go. So the only other option I think I have is to produce this blade, make it bigger. Get a piece of metal, you know, take off the cutting bar, put a piece of metal across there and just make it a taller blade. What do you think of that? What do I got? Ooh. How about bed frame metal? You think I can use that? I think I was I think I brought this out for something else, but I think that's thick enough. Okay, this is going to be temporary because I think this is going to be too flimsy. I'll just put on a big thick or wide blade on the bottom of that cutting edge. I'm not sure how wide the new ones are. I'm not sure how worn out mine is, but I'll do something about getting a big wider one because this is just going to, I suspect anyway, it's just going to fold over. Guess we'll find out. Oops. All right, that's pretty flat, pretty straight. And it's the same gauge as the blade itself. Now, I don't know if a bed frame has the same metallurgical properties as the blade. Like, would this be heat treated, or like, is this spring steel? I doubt it. But we're gonna go with it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll come up with another plan another day. Okay, so there it is, all done. You can see I just basically overlapped the new piece in between the original blade and the old scraper blade. Now, I mean, it is just barely touching the floor. I mean, well, yeah, it's hit the floor now, so it's good. But I would like it to drop a little bit more. I don't think it will. It's pretty tight on that. So I could either just notch out the plow beam, or what I really want to do is just get a new scraper blade, 46-inch wide scraper blade. I don't know how wide the new ones are, but this one's probably worn. And if I put a new one on, that'll give me the height I want. So all is well. Let's go on to the chains and get this project rolling. Okay, the only thing left to do is just connect the deck bracket to the plow bracket with a chain. All right, like that. We should be done. Okay, I didn't need to show you every nut and bolt that I was doing. I got the lift working with the deck linkage, no problem. But I didn't want to use the steering control that came, the tilt function that hooks onto here, because the electric starter's in the way. And I didn't like the look of all that gear all up the side anyway. I wanted to keep this a nice clean install. So for my tilt, I've got one of those little there, what do you call those, actuators? That's it, it's an actuator. Just has a 4-inch stroke on it. It's not a super big one, but all it's doing is tilting the blade. It has a 270-pound lift rate. No problem tilting this blade. Now, it's just a little bit slow, but not too bad. I'll live with it. I have to wire it up to the tractor yet. I'm just running it off a battery here on the side, you can see. So let's bring it full right tilt. Okay, and the little lock is still going to prevent it from going too far and hitting my tires. I'm probably going to actually make this functional again. I'm going to put a spring on it and have like a little cable I pull, because I don't want to be hammering into like a big block of ice or something, or maybe the edge of a concrete seam or something, and this cylinder have to take up all of the stress. I think it'll break, or the mount will break. I mean, it's just on little bolts, right? That That's all it takes is little bolts that come through there. So I would bend those, and I would ruin this if I was just, you know, hammer down into something hard. So I'd rather it latch in center, right or left, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's see how long it takes. Go. Wrong way. And go. That's it. So it's 15, 16 seconds. I can live with that because I'm not tilting it back and forth all the time. Just on occasion, I'm going to tilt it one way or the other. And the neat thing is there's a plug here on the dash to take a toggle switch that just pops out from the inside. Pop it out, and then I can put the toggle switch on for the blade. I'll put it sideways, so if you push it, it's a two-way toggle, of course. So push the toggle to the right, it'll go right. Push the toggle to the left, it'll go left. This is going to be the best setup ever. So this is the bar that held the steering rod. It would bolt on here, and then linkage would run over here to trip that. I'm going to do something different there. And then, of course, it would run up to the seat area where you can operate it from the seat. But I was going to take it off and make this perfectly clean setup, but I'm going to leave it as a camera mount. Perfect. I love it. Got to do some painting, make it look nice. Get that toggle switch on the dash, and we're done. Ooh. Oh boy. Oh, I didn't notice that. I'll fix that right now. All right. Problem solved. Excellent. I'm pooped. So all I have to do is hook up the toggle switch to the dash. You don't need to see that. Next video on this is going to be plowing snow. So hopefully winter comes soon. Can't believe I'm saying that, but at least there's a reason to like winter now. Go out and play in the snow, push some snow around, and I don't know, hopefully this all works out. I think this was a great setup. And I think maybe my best setup yet of all the dozens and dozens of them. But so I'm going to do a video on that little 800, the MTD 660. Have to do a starter generator on it, and so that's up next. In the meantime, hey, from Ontario, cheers. Woo!